Hey everyone, thanks for coming. This is the very first ever meeting for our new virtual ACE chapter called ITSM-ESM Masters. And we're going to have a great session today with two presenters from Atlassian. This is a new, obviously, ACE chapter, given that this is our first meeting. We plan to meet once a month, although we will skip the month of December because of the holiday season for many of us. We won't overcomplicate things, and we'll start up again in January. In fact, we tentatively have a date of January 15th for our next meeting. Going forward, we hope all of you will contribute to the agenda. I'm going to send out a survey asking folks to suggest topics. I'll have some topics in the survey that you can vote on, but in addition to that, we'll leave space for people to suggest their own topics and speakers. We want all of you to be participants in this ACE. It shouldn't be just the leaders deciding everything. So we'll look forward to working with you on that. And we are exploring the possibility of an in-person meetup at Team 25 in Anaheim this year. So if any of you are planning to attend Team 25, be on the lookout from an email from us to say more about that. I'm pretty confident it will happen, but you never know until the ink is on the contract, as they say. So let me do some quick introductions and housekeeping. The audience members are muted today. We've made it possible for people to unmute themselves if they want to ask a question verbally, but we prefer using the Q&A session, or the Q&A feature, excuse me, within the Bevy platform here. So you can see that at the bottom of your screen. You can ask your questions at any point. We'll hold them until each speaker is done speaking, and then we'll take Q&A from everyone going through the questions in the order they. If we don't cover all of them, don't worry. I'll make sure that we follow up with you directly after the meeting if we don't have time to get to your question. So speaking of that, I'm Dave Rosenlund. I'm the Atlassian community leader that had the crazy idea to put this event together. I've been an online community leader for 3.5 years, nearly 4 now. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have a community like this one where it's not affiliated with a city, but with a topic. So that's what we did. Along the way, I actually interviewed our other community leader. He's Jobin, and he's going to do the wrap up here today. I interviewed Jobin for an article that I wrote in the Atlassian community. And if you haven't seen it yet, I encourage you to look for it. Jobin's a really interesting guy, and he's got a really interesting set of use cases that he's addressing in his own job. I asked him to become a co-leader for this group, and he said yes. So that's why he's here. So our two guest speakers are Kate Clavet and Silvia Davis from Atlassian. They're both senior technical product marketing managers with respective duties that they'll describe. But Kate is going to talk to us about Atlassian Intelligence today and how to work with it in Jira Service Management. And Silvia is going to talk about the new capability in Jira Service Management that's called Assets Data Manager. And at the end, we'll do a quick wrap up. We'll talk about the two presentations that we just saw in the form of a quiz. And we have 4 $50 Amazon gift cards to give away today to people who do well in the quiz. So pay attention as Kate and Silvia present. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Kate. And after Kate, Silvia will speak. And then, as I said, Jobin will wrap it up. Thanks, everyone, for being here. We really appreciate it.
Quick hint on the wrap up. There's a little quiz, and some of it relies on you knowing what Kate and Silvia talk about today as well. So give them your full attention.
All right. Take it away, Kate.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you. Just going to share my screen. Got a couple of slides to walk you through today first, and then we'll go into the product, do a little demo in there. I'm not going to cover everything AI. There's too much to cover, but just a high-level sort of enterprise service management overview, how Atlassian Intelligence could help your work, help your day-to-day work a little bit. So as Dave mentioned, my name is Kate Clavet. Thrilled to be here. I am a technical product marketing manager at Atlassian, mostly focused on IT service management and enterprise service management. But my background, I joined Atlassian in 2018 as part of the Opsgenie acquisition. So my background is, I have a strong background in incident management as well. So with that, let's get into it. So first, I'm just going to give a brief overview of Jira Service Management. I imagine if you're joining a Masters Kickoff event, you probably have a background. But just to give you an idea of why we're excited about Jira Service Management and how we think it can really benefit those delivering service experiences, we can help you deliver value fast without the cost and complexity of some other solutions in the market. We're able to accelerate development and operations because of the connection between Jira Service Management and Jira, and also because of your ability to collaborate across the two solutions and share. There's more visibility, and thus the work can flow more freely, and you can keep the right people in the loop when needed. And we do empower service for all. And how do we do that? We have templates. We have a lot of different ways that AI is going to help your folks if they're a little intimidated by certain aspects of setting up their own project. And because we have the ability to personalize projects and set them up for the type of work that each individual team is doing, we provide autonomy to those teams so that not everything has to be managed by your IT team. And we are working on a new updated version of this report that will be out soon, so keep an eye out. But today, the numbers I have to share with you are from a 2023 report. So over a 3-year period, Forrester conducted a total economic impact report for us of Jira Service Management. And those who participated saw a 277% ROI. They saw 4.9 million in total benefits, 2 million cost savings from retiring their previous ITSM solution. And they also averaged a 4-month implementation time, which is huge. I know that even just system maintenance and upgrades for some legacy solutions or solutions that have been on the market for a while require 4 months of planning, 6 months of implementation. So this is really where you see the value of Jira Service Management. You can get started quickly, and you're not forced into a very specific structure. And of course, I can talk nicely about Atlassian all day long, but I work there. So how much credibility do I have? We have 55,000 customers who are trusting Jira Service Management with their service management practices as of today. And from those, we're going to talk about a couple of customers who are realizing benefits of using Atlassian Intelligence. And so when we talk about Atlassian Intelligence, we're not talking about replacing people. We're talking about empowering those people to do their work faster and more efficiently, taking things off of their plates that might be redundant, repetitive, and also making sure that we're providing them the ability to get up to speed on what's going on really quickly. And with that said, here's a couple of numbers from a few customers who are leveraging Atlassian Intelligence. So Domino's is using Jira Service Management and is supporting 3,800 stores across 12 markets. Flow reduced their MTTR by 99% by using Jira Service Management. And OVO Energy resolved 23% of their support requests with Virtual Service Agent. And again, resolving those requests that not taking the human out of the loop, but resolving the requests that might be repetitive and may not necessarily be something that you need a human for, right? Like, where can I find this knowledge base article? You don't need a human for that. You can use Virtual Service Agent for that. And then you can save some energy for your humans to do higher effort work. So when we're talking about enterprise service management and Jira Service Management, we're covering a variety of different areas. So we do provide templates and automations and various tools across these use cases to make getting set up easier. So we have enterprise service management focused templates, service request management, incident and problem management, change management, knowledge management, and asset and configuration management. Now, again, I'm just giving you a high-level overview today. There's definitely more in-depth demos on our website if you wanted to go deeper into any of these areas. And unfortunately for you, it's my voice in those as well. So you're going to be stuck listening to me then as well. So again, we're known for IT service management, but we do empower teams across human resources. Our very own human resources at Atlassian is leveraging Jira Service Management. Here we call them people team, not the human resources team. Legal, marketing, facilities, and design. There's various templates, again, available, AI-assisted work, and which is what we're going to focus on today. And so now that we've covered the slides, I'm just going to pull up my demo instances, and we'll get going on the exciting part. Just going to stop sharing just for a moment so I make sure I open the right window on the first try. Okay. And here we are. This is our service center. And so again, since you're joining the ITSM-ESM Masters Kickoff event, right? I'm guessing that you've got some experience in the area, but assuming you don't, I will just anchor you quickly. So the service center is where we have all of the different portals, also referred to as projects, the customer-facing version of this that we have available in order to get people the help that they need. And so you see we have service desk, technology needs, facilities, human resources, operations, and marketing. There's various ways that you can weave in Atlassian Intelligence and the virtual service agent to help your teams across. So for example, let's say I have a question about how to read my 401k. So I'm going to ask, how do I read my 401k? And our virtual service agent is going to surface an answer. First, so we have an intent set up for this. And at Atlassian, essentially an intent is you're providing an answer, a blanket answer for that question. You're not asking Atlassian Intelligence to come up with the answer for you. And so in this case, we have an intent set up because we want a specific answer to be provided each time. So I'm saying, yes, that's what I need. It's providing me this page, which I will open. And if it's resolved my issue, I can say yes. If no, it's going to open a record for me and route that to the proper team. So right there. So again, you're getting the human help involved. Here's that 401k plan page that I was needing. But you're also taking some of that manual work off your employees. Now let's ask a question where there isn't an intent set up. We'll say, can I bring my cat to work? And in this case, it's searching the knowledge base. It's pulling information. There's no intent set up. I wonder why. Let's see. It provided an answer and then disappeared. So let me ask with a dog. Could be a hiccup with my Wi-Fi. And so it's providing me the global dog policy. And I can read there if dogs are allowed. So they are. And it provides me the information that I need in order to register a dog for a visit to the office. Sarah, I guess your dog wanted to come to work. In case you missed it, Sarah put a comment in the chat that when I said cat, her cat jumped into her lap. And so this is how the virtual service agent can help you in the service center. If you go into an individual portal, you're able to also interact with the virtual service agent. So right before Team 2024 Europe, we released the virtual service agent for Slack, for Microsoft Teams. We have a widget that you can leverage. It's also available for email, and it's available in the portal and in the service center. So here, let's chat with the virtual service agent. Let's say, okay, I figured out the dog situation. I know that I have to fill out that form to get my dog to work. Now I'm back to more serious things, working on a marketing campaign. And I will ask, how do I submit a request for a new marketing logo? Oops, would help if I spelled logo properly. I didn't sacrifice to the demo gods today, I suppose. But in this case, I must have not phrased the question perfectly. And we are in beta, so we're still working on ourselves here. But it's created a ticket for me because it couldn't understand my question and it didn't have the right response. But that's another way that we can leverage the virtual service agent. Now, we've kind of talked about, all right, we're in the process of finding help and it's helping point us to the right places. The other thing I would like to show you, let me just pull up my Slack. And let me just stop sharing a moment to pull up my Slack. I'm going to show you something that I find really exciting, which is a turn-by-turn ability to basically create a virtual machine for me. And I just didn't want to open the wrong Slack channel and blast my business everywhere. Okay. Why are we, here we go. Virtual machine. All right. All right. The two-factor authentication isn't letting me in. It's just kicked me out and I logged in right before, so apologies for that. But so we've talked about how it's going to help you get help and direct you to the right places to get help. However, let's talk about what if you're already in the middle of doing your job and getting started on a ticket? What can Atlassian Intelligence do for you? And we'll dive into that now, and we have a couple more minutes left, and then of course we'll take some questions and move to the assets portion of the event. Okay. I see your question. How does it filter on most relevant if you have 5 articles with dog, word count, time used? That's a good question. I know it's not just filtering based on the mention of dog. There are other factors involved, but I don't have all of the details. That's something that I could definitely get back to you with. How does virtual agent work when you have multiple help centers? So it's based off of the knowledge bases that you've connected to it. So if you want to expand on what limitations you're thinking of, I could certainly talk through that. But essentially, it's based off of which knowledge bases you've connected to your help center and which ones you've made visible. So it's going to pull and look through what's available based on that. Okay, so now
I have some other questions from the Q&A panel.
Oh, yeah.
So the first one I'm going to answer, if anybody was wondering about this, we are recording the session and we will make the recording available probably within about 24 hours to everyone. But for you, Kate, now that Atlassian is going full bore into AI, can you tell us a bit about what you're doing related to ethics and transparency and collecting and managing data, et cetera?
Yeah, so I do not have full visibility into that. My focus is more on how the product works. Is it working how our customer expects? I know that we have multiple teams and multiple committees internally in Atlassian, making sure that we are building things ethically and transparently. We do have a transparency note that is created through a partnership of legal, marketing, and the product teams. And that gets released for every single AI feature that we provide. I can pull up a link to that and put that in the chat. And that kind of covers how we're handling that, what we're using in order to develop those features. And it's called a transparency note. So at a high level, I hope that answers your question. I don't have, step-by-step details on that topic, though.
Thanks, Kate. Next question is from Chris. He's asking, it looks like there's a virtual agent in both the main Help Center page via chat and on the individual service projects question mark. And so is he correct?
So can you repeat the question? I'm just not sure if I'm getting the distinction.
That in your demo, it looked like there was a virtual agent on both the main Help Center page via chat and also for the individual projects. So are they different agents or are they the same agent all throughout?
No, it's the same agent. The difference is if you have it on, if you have the way that the agent will work is it will look for answers based on the knowledge bases that you provide it visibility to. So the ones that are on the project by project basis are going to be, again, it depends on how you're filtering those knowledge bases. So for example, you could have a HR project where you are only allowing the agent to surface HR knowledge base articles because you've only given it visibility into those articles. And so it's going to come up with the most relevant articles from that knowledge base for all of the questions that are asked there. In the Help Center, where you have the virtual agent, again, you might provide that more visibility into more knowledge bases, but it's essentially the same agent. It's just working based on what visibility you've given it into your knowledge bases.
All right. Then the
more
next
like
question
working across all knowledge bases versus, well, working across all service projects versus, filtering it down to that single service project when we're looking at it from just the marketing lens or something like that, or just the HR lens.
Yeah, the only reason I hesitate there is because I have seen customers who, no matter the project, they have a single knowledge base that they're sharing across all of their projects. And so that's not the way I would suggest doing it, but I can also see if you're in a smaller organization or depending on who's managing that knowledge base for you, where that might be the case. So that's why I always have that extra caveat.
And I have one more question in the Q&A for now. Reducing MTTR by 99% is incredible. Do you know if that use case is published somewhere or that story is published somewhere for more details?
I believe it is. I can pull the link up for you while Silvia is presenting. I'll find that and share that.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Great.
One more question for you, Kate. Will the chat transcript be added to the issue if the virtual agent was not able to resolve the query?
Yes. Yes. So if we're talking about, the only caveat is at this time. So if you have a virtual service agent conversation happening in Slack or Microsoft Teams, the transcript is added. If you're talking about the virtual service agent in the portal or in the Help Center, the transcript is not added. I know that there is an open feature request for that. The only reason that is the case is because there were some privacy concerns about sharing the context of the question, because you don't necessarily know, like if you're opening it up generally, you don't know what question the person is asking. So there are some discussions about what is the best approach in order to give the customer what they need, but also give the help seeker what is needed as well.
Okay, great. And one more question actually came in on the chat, and we'll call this the last question for now. But if you did ask a question and we didn't get to it, don't worry. I'll make sure that with Kate or Silvia, depending on your question, or one of us will answer your question after the fact. So the last question I got was, if you have a locked down JSM project, how will the agent work? And I imagine we might need Joseph. Maybe you can come off mute and say a little bit more about what you mean by lockdown.
Yeah, I would need a little bit more detail there.
If Joseph can't do that, I can probably share context on that one there, from my company's use case. It could be from the use of, a proof of concept of a new central service coming in, and they're just opening up to a limited set of customers. Or perhaps even, you may leverage the JSM portals for different clients and have a specific service project for each client.
Yeah, I mean, so the virtual service agent will work if the person, like if you have a sign-in requirement, so that will still work. They'll just have to sign in first. If it's on the project basis, I'm also thinking, like, are you locking down certain aspects of the project? Like, I know for HR, there's certain things and certain issues that are private, in which case they would still be private. So for example, if I asked in Slack a question that was sensitive, or I asked a question to open an issue and the issue was a sensitive issue and it was a locked issue type or a locked request type, I could continue to Slack back and forth with the virtual service agent, but that would not be displayed in the main channel in Slack. That would all be hidden. But yeah, Joseph, if you feel more comfortable providing further context in the chat or whichever way, happy to get a better answer for you for that.
Yeah, we could also, Joseph, if you prefer, you can also drop me a note. We know each other. Joseph is, excuse me, Joseph is a fellow community leader. So Joseph, I can make sure we get the answer that you're looking for with a little more detail. All right.
Oh, yes.
So just to keep things on schedule, why don't we, if you don't mind, Kate, we'll just move along and hand it over to Silvia.
Yeah,
and like I said, I'll make sure these questions that didn't get answered, we'll follow up with you directly to make sure you get the answers that you're looking for.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank
Hello,
you.
guys.
Kate.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Silvia. Thank you.
Can you guys hear me well?
We sure can, Silvia.
I'm gonna just share my, let's see here, Chrome tab. Instead, my Chrome tab, I'm gonna share actually everything here, my window. I think that's best to do this, okay? Oops, right here. And there you go. So thanks everyone for being here today. I'm very excited to talk about Assets Data Manager, one of the newest feature with the JSM. Can you still see my screen?
Yes, let's go.
Okay, perfect. So before I jump into the demo, I just want to say, like, when you are doing some asset and configuration management processes, is not an easy task, right? Because you have data from multiple types of sources. And sometimes there is a question, I have a discovery tool, right? So do I still need to bring data from other sources? Of course you do, because, even when you have a discovery tool, might not discover everything. And another point about a discovery tool is that a discovery tool also sometimes brings a lot of duplicates, right? And nowadays, with all this digital environment and IoTs and, edge environments, VMs, cloud, hybrid, you tell me, like, there is tons of data to be managed everywhere, right? And then of course, is not an easy task. And then, of course, we need to avoid the garbage because, again, garbage in, garbage out. And then as Kate went through this amazing presentation about AI, you don't want like AI to provide garbage as well. So again, you need to have a very good data to make sure that, you know, you are getting quality data to make your decisions. And then that's why we have now Assets Data Manager. So Data Manager helps you to have a complete, current, and correct data set for your assets and configuration management, but you can even expand and use it for other devices, for HR data, for staff that work. I mean, there is tons of data that you can bring there. You can simplify the integration between these two like different data sources, so you can have a real federated approach. And then, of course, you can have the reliable data to help the service management with their tasks. That's basically incident change, the risk prediction, right? I mean, of course, you need to put AI on top to have the risk prediction, but you need to have reliable data for that. And on top of that, you can also use it for other areas like security, and I'm going to show some scenarios, compliance, traceability, auditing. That's very, very important, right? All this data. Sometimes I say assets is not sexy, but it's very important also in terms of compliance and auditing, and make sure that you have all the traceability. And on top of that, you can optimize the processes. All the process relate to that particular piece of asset when you have that visibility. So that's why Data Manager is here. So Data Manager was an acquisition that was done a year ago, and now we have the option to do for choose. We release what we call open beta. So how that works. So I'm gonna just show quickly here in this diagram. You might have like asset configuration management tools, discovery tools, also systems managements like SCCM or Enter ID. You might have VMs, virtual machines. You might have even like cloud machines, right? Virtual machines in the cloud too. Or even you have also enterprise resource planning tools, ERP tools like your SAP, or maybe you have let's say Appian, that's a financial tool that a lot of companies use, right? And you have different types of data. So we basically integrate all this data together, and then you have the possibility to cleanse this data. So integrate, cleanse, normalize, and reconcile. And then, of course, that gives you the current complete and correct data. So that said, let me navigate now to the demo, because of course I'm sure that you guys want to see how the product works. So as I mentioned, Data Manager is now open beta. So for customers that are using JSM Cloud Premium or Enterprise, you can go here in the configuration, okay, assets, configuration, and then you can see this bar called Data Manager, and then you can turn on the access for Data Manager. Once you do that, you have Data Manager in your instance. You set your administrations and roles, and then you're good to go. So I'm going to click here in Data Manager. And another opportunity here is like if I click in assets, as I have Data Manager enabled, I just can click here. And then let me show some of the great capabilities of this, I would say, feature. Okay, so as soon as I log here, I have all these instructions in how the tool works, but the more like nicer view is the dashboards. So within here, you can create several dashboards with several charts and visibilities for different types of teams in the company once you have the data ingested. So I'm going to just navigate here to the executive view that I basically collect some charts from different types of scenarios and brought together for the executive. As you can see here, I got data from different types of data sources, like as I mentioned, Microsoft SCCM, my antivirus, my CMDB, Qualys, etc. And as you can see here, there is already some discrepancies. I have 32,000 records, but there are different records sometimes in different data sources. That means that I already have some discrepancies here, some anomalies of data that I can check and then also make some changes and updates in my data. I can also see here there is some data from a particular data source that's not even mapped with the other data sources. Why is that, right? I mean, of course, if you have data in my antivirus, all the computers here in antivirus should be also in the SCCM and vice versa. But I'm going to navigate a little bit more and show a little bit more here. As you can see here, I also have computers by platform. That's a simple inventory type of chart. This is what we call like Venn diagram. And this is an interesting diagram because I'm comparing 3 data sources. And I can see that within these 3 data sources, I have just 949. That's almost like 60% of the total number, right? That are common in these 3. So here I can see that I have data here in SCCM, but it's not in my antivirus. So there is some discrepancies here that I need to analyze further. And then this another type of chart that I can see right away, like all in my Windows server, 20% doesn't have antivirus. I can even click here, drill down this information, see all the data about this, I would say, servers. And as you can see here, I have all this in my SCM, but they don't have antivirus. So that's a very like big security threat already. And then if I want to see the search that was executed, as you can see here, no SQL language requires, just like I can put conditions, what fields I want to do searches, and then quickly have my visibility as I want. Going back to my dashboard here, another aspect that I can do with the Assets Data Manager is normalization. So let's say that I have platform computers per operational system. Look at that, I have Windows 7 several times or XP several times. So what I do is I say everything that's Windows XP is one bucket. Everything that's Windows Server 2008 is another bucket. So I can easily do some normalization of data so I have better visibility and that can help better in my decisions as well. So I have other types of charts here, but one of the most important tools, like computers that were not scanned the last 30 days, another security problem, or even though I have like items that are not showing my finance report. So some discrepancies here for, some kind of I would say the government incentives or depreciation of assets. So there is some kind of discrepancies that needs to be looked at here as well. So as you can see, this part of the Assets Data Manager bring a lot of insights for you once you ingest the data. So now let me navigate through and show a little bit how you ingest this data. I'm going to go to adapters. As you can see here, we have several adapters out of the box. For now, for open beta, we have around 20 plus. And then for GA, we plan to bring additional more 10 that you are planning to test. And if you don't find your adapter for a particular product, you can always use CSV text files, or you can also use the SQL OGBC connector, right? So that to set up basically one of those types of configurations or adapters, right? It's very simple. Like, for example, I'm going to click here in the Entra. You can see that I configure where the data is going to go inside of Assets Data Manager. And then this object class is what's going to be also integrated in the schemas. And then I have my data source not name, that's my type of the integration that I'm doing. And then this is the most important, basically is an API call. So I have the tenant IT, client IT, and client secret. So I do this simple configuration, and then we have some out-of-the-box fields already set up to kind of go to enter ID and retrieve those fields into Assets Data Manager. So here's basically all the jobs that I execute lately, showing my status. When there is something that didn't run well, it shows. And then here I can see the ingested data. Actually, let me just click this one here. So here's data that came from a CMDB. I like to show the SCM here. So SCM, I have my data here that was ingested. Assets Data Manager also allows me to transform the data. So there is kind of some capabilities to change field types. And once I do go to this process of ingesting the data, then I can move to another process that we call cleanse and reconcile. So I can click here in the cleanse option. I can go to my SCM and then cleanse rules. So we have out of the box rules like, for example, remove duplicate keys or no numbers, right? And then there is many other types of cleaning aspects of records that I can add for this particular data source. Once I clean the data, I'm going to show here some example. I cleansed this data before. So there was like minus 59 records here when removing duplicates. So garbage out here, guys. And then another aspect that I can do here, I can map this information that I brought within my object. And then the next step is I reconcile. We call import here, but this is basically I am reconcile all this data in one object. So now I'm basically saying what I have in common in all these data sources. I can prioritize also how this data is stored. And then here's an example of like generate this data in this whole object, I would say database or table. And then I have also the compute dictionaries. That's what we call for normalization. I can also do some setups for that. And then this basically reconciliation is done. As you can see here, if I select all basically data and I go to import select, basically all the data comes together and in one object, right? And then all the information is now, I would say, clean, complete, and current for you to use. The next step is the analysis. So as I mentioned before, we can do any type of search. I can say here, I want to search everything that's in my SCCM and everything that's not in my antivirus. Simple like that. Search, boom, I have that chart that I show you. I can also say, oh, actually here, view as a pie chart, and then I can set the attribute by platform. And then I can even set another attribute like OS version. And there you go. I have like all my Windows computers, and I have servers, right? And I have by OS. I just did a search and create very quick a chart. So very simple. And going back to dashboards is where I started before. So I know that's a lot of information, a very short time, but I'm going to open now for questions.
That was an awesome amount of information. So looking forward to diving into that one in the future.
Yes.
So there are a couple of questions in the Q&A for you, Silvia. Thank you for your presentation. The first one I think is more of an editorial comment, but I'll read it anyway. From playing with the open beta, ADM looks like a cloud source like Landsweeper or Entra ID will still be required to run the adapter client on a local host and to ingest the data towards ADM. I wonder why that architectural decision was made.
Oh, yeah, because no, absolutely. That's a great question. Because what happens is, remember when I went through the first slide, you have data from different data sources. We are extracting data from these different data sources, right? And then sometimes you have discrepancies, and discovery tools doesn't discover. They don't discover everything. So that's why we still have connectors and adapters to bring data from all your sources that you have. That's the real federated approach for a configuration management database.
Got it. Thank you.
Does that make sense? Let me know if you want additional comments, etc. Okay.
I don't see anything from him right now, but he may need a little time to type. So I'll give you one of the other questions. When will the flexible API adapter be available?
Say again, other APIs adapters?
The flexible API adapter?
Flexible. Yes, actually, I have the flexible being tested. I have a solution brief with all the 30 names of adapters that we have. Some are released already, and as I mentioned, 10 are not released, but we plan to release by GA.
All right. Speaking of which, when is the GA planned?
Yeah, GA plan is for Q2 next year.
Q2 next year. Okay.
But the good news is like there is one piece that I want to advise here. There is one piece that is the data importer into schemas that's coming. That's not part of the open beta. We have that available. We are doing additional tests, and that should be available very soon before GA.
Okay. All right. Next question: how accessible are the assets in the Atlassian data lake?
Okay, so you're talking about access direct from the database. Yeah, you can do that.
The data lake, the Atlassian data lake, Atlassian Enterprise data lake. So I think they're wondering whether or not these new capabilities are connected to the data lake.
Okay, so it's not inside of the JSM data lake, is separate for now, but we are working to integrate. So what the good news is that they are in the same platform now. So before, when we acquired AirTrack, there was another type of database that was used, and now is in the same database as the JSM database. So the good news is the integration is underway. And I would say I cannot promise anything in terms of time frame, but that's the plan.
Okay. Next question is, how does one migrate the data after cleaning it in the object scheme?
Good, very, very good question. I'm going to show you. I think that's nicer to show, not tell, right? So let me go here. So you guys probably can see my screen, right? Yes,
Yep.
can see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So let me go to schemas. Probably, well, I need to do just something here quickly. Gonna go back here, and then I'm gonna stop sharing, and then we're gonna share my whole screen. Otherwise, you cannot see that entire screen. Okay, share. Okay, so this is an example. I'm gonna go to this object, for example. I brought this object in, and then I go to configuration, and then here there is a data import, can create the import. And then, so Access Data Manager have several options to do search. So you can select what data you want to bring here, and then you can use this Data Manager import. As I mentioned, this is not fully available for open beta now, but that's what's going to be available. For now, you can use the CSV import. Okay, so those are the options that you have. The advantage to use this option is that you don't need to generate a CSV file, right? From Assets Data Manager, you can bring directly some kind of search that are done here. So when I go to analysis, I go to searches, right? Or I can even create, let me just go here, save it searches. Yes. So I can say I want all my Unix server in a schema, in a particular schema, right? I can bring that as a CSV file, but the easiest way is to use this search, right? And then when you come here in the Data Manager import, that's where basically you make a configuration and refer to that search and bring the data in. Okay. So
Awesome.
that capability is going to be available, as I mentioned, very soon. I would say probably end of the year, beginning of the year.
And I'll read one more comment, but I think we'll have to call that the last question, so we have time for the quiz. But somebody wanted you to know that this is the sexiest Atlassian product ever.
Woohoo! Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I like it a lot, this tool, because, you know, I can think out of the box and use this to clean several other type of data, not just assets and configuration management data. So whenever you think about the time that takes to clean data, using sometimes like some tools like, you know, Excel spreadsheets or, you know, Access, etc., is a lot of work. Or even like if you use SQL commands, right? But when you do this, it's like magic.
All right. So as I said, I'll say one more time. If you ask the question that we didn't answer, I'll make sure I crawl through those after the fact and that we get you answers. So don't worry about that if we missed you. And we're going to turn it over to Jovan now for the wrap up.
Awesome. Alrighty. So I pinned the comment in there a little bit earlier. So if you want to try and win a $50 US Amazon gift card, make sure you jump into menti.com and join with that code 65115733, or you can scan the QR code with your phone and join in there. And we'll kind of just start off with a few of our sort of, well, at least my favorite thing that, you know, the ACE QuizWiz team like to do, which is, where are you joining from? I love to see where everyone's joined the world. It's, you know, it looks like time zone doesn't really matter for anyone on these kinds of things. So when you've loaded in, if you just try and pick on the map roughly where you've joined from, and we can see where we've got representation. So
Wow.
Quite a bit from the US. We've got at least one dot from the Indian subcontinent there. Someone from Africa, UK, Italy, it looks like possibly. Cool. Someone from Svalbard, possibly at the very top there near Greenland. Maybe a misclick or
Maybe
something
Iceland.
Like Iceland. Oh, I think Iceland's meant to be the little 7
Or maybe
dots
they're on a
just
cruise.
below
Maybe
Greenland
they're on
there.
a cruise.
Yeah, maybe they're on a cruise. Yeah, maybe they're on like a, you know, one of the, what are they, Viking cruises up there or something like that. Cool. So we've got about 22 people in there currently, 23, 25 still growing. A couple more in North Africa there. That's really great to see. A little bit disappointed no one from Australia has joined. No, home country there. But that's cool. That's cool. I'm sure we'll get some dialing in. It is very late in Australia. It's only 2 in the morning there currently. So at least in Perth,
We had a number of people who
away.
registered from Australia that said they wanted to be sure they got the recording.
Yeah, cool. All right, let's just jump in, and so we can also see a little bit of our demographic here. How long have you been using Jira Service Desk or Service Management? Got quite a few veterans in here. It's pretty cool. All right. I think we're just at about 30 responses there. Yep. Cool. All right. So because I don't want to run over too much time, let's jump into our quiz. And we're going to start off with a few questions around Atlassian, and well, one question around Atlassian, I think it is actually. And then we're going to jump into some questions from Kate and Silvia as well. So just like ACE QuizWiz on this one here, you get more points the quicker you answer. And we're going to use this to help us determine who gets those gift cards. So make sure you use your actual name or something that's identifiable, or grab a screenshot of that so we can make sure that it actually is you that gets that $50 gift card. So we'll just wait for everyone to join in. And that's how many people we had, 32. Okay, let's start our first question. So where does the name Atlassian actually come from? Who knows any of the lore behind the company? I'm curious, do our Atlassian employees know that as well? Does Kate know the answer to that question? Don't say it, you'll reveal it.
I'll never tell.
So options are misspelled Atlantis and ran with it, named after the Greek Titan, global company, and Atlas's map of the world, or just a fun thing to say. So it's actually named after the Greek Titan, being Atlas as well. So yeah, a little fun trivia bit there. We'll have a quick look at the leaderboard so you can see what it looks like. So this is how the leaderboard works. Shows you the results from the last question with the points, and obviously the faster you are, the more points. So Brian got in there at number 1. We won't see this every single question though. We'll jump back to this one in a little bit. So actually we'll see it after this next one as well, sorry. So next question, which is combo question. So which year did Jira Service Desk get released, and which year did it migrate to the cloud as Jira Service Management? So 2010 and 2020, 2013 and 2021, 2010 and 2021, or 2013 and 2020? Lots of very similar numbers there, so that's intended to try and catch you out. Oh, that was close between that. So, yep, 2013 Service Desk got released, and it was released because apparently a bunch of people were using Jira to try and use it as a service portal. So they just decided to actually make that as an offering. So we've got the next one here. Let's see if Brian retained his lead. He did indeed, with a bunch of shuffling there. All right, now we'll get into the harder questions. So these ones are to do with what Kate and Silvia were talking about. All right, so out of the box, Atlassian Intelligence can 3D print you a coffee, summarize issues in Slack channels, write a list of icebreakers for a meeting, or both B and C. Wow, Brian, since 2007, that's a long time being on the platform. I think we've almost got all the answers there. Both B and C. So we've got a lot of people answering that one there correctly. Sometimes the multiple option is a dead giveaway. Next one, and we didn't cover Rovo today, at least in too much depth, but Atlassian Rovo is, and we've got 4 options here for you to choose, the same thing as Atlassian Intelligence. Atlassian's own Mars rover, up there with Curiosity and stuff like that roaming around. A way to surface info across all of your apps, or built into Jira Service Management. I think it'd be cool if you know, Atlassian managed to get a rover up there as well. The long latency between raising the ticket and getting a response. Looks like most people got that one correct. It is a way to surface info across your apps. So you can talk to it and it can help find things across everything for you. So that's a really, really cool feature. All right, so the next one, Assets Data Manager can help you to discover, cleanse, and consolidate assets from multiple data sources, integrate, cleanse, and reconcile data from multiple data sources, manage the asset lifecycle, manage asset and configuration item lifecycle. This is almost like a bit of a sort of exam style question where they're similar enough, but you just got to look at the very specific terms there. I think we've got pretty much all of the answers in. Oh, Brian. We'll see if that impacts your overall score too much. I gave this one a little bit longer than before, just because there was quite a bit of reading in that one. And the correct answer for this one is integrate, cleanse, and reconcile. So as Silvia was saying, it's not a discovery tool per se. It's a way for you to integrate all that data together and make sure it's clean and actually usable. Get rid of that garbage in aspect of things. All right. And our last one, we'll see if we can get everyone ready. Can we get up to 30 again? No, I think we're just going to sit there. All right, let's jump in. So how many adapters does Assets Data Manager Open Beta currently have? Was it 10, 20, 30, or 40 adapters? And that's current, not future state. We covered this one. It was right there at the end. I think I gave extra time for this one here. We had 29 people. We're at 27 answers currently. We'll give those last few seconds. and it was 20 adapters in the beta. So I think she mentioned there was 10 more that are currently being tested, ready for deployment or aiming to be ready for deployment by GA. So let's see who won overall. Got some new answers there. Alrighty. So we had Joe D take the lead with over 5,000, so quite a huge jump there. And then Brian holding strong in second. Brent Thayer pulling in third, and then close behind him is Tom, not to be confused with also very close there, Tommy Slav. So Tom, make sure you let us know when you see this. So there's a QR code that takes you to the our chapter, the ITSM-ESM Masters chapter on Atlassian Community. As Dave mentioned earlier, he is going to send out a survey and ask for all of your inputs and what you want to see talked about, what you want to see discussed or shared or learn about more in these events. You can reach out to either of us anytime through that Atlassian Community chapter page. There's a contact group method there, and we'll get those $50 gift cards out there, courtesy of Dave's employer Trundle, who's one of our sponsors, alongside Atlassian, of course, helping us out with this inaugural event. Everything from running, letting us have the communities and allowing a couple of their team members to actually gloriously donate some of their time to help us out here.
So thank you, Jobin. So everyone, if you were one of the winners, I think we know who all of those people are, except possibly, I don't know if there's more than one Tom. But Tom, if you would also go to the chapter and click on contact Jobin and I, let us know that who you are, etc. I'll need an email address from each of you where we can send the Amazon gift card. So when you do contact us, make sure we have an email address on file that we can use to send you the gift card. And that's a wrap. That's our first inaugural Kickoff event. Thank you, everyone. We had roughly 50% of those that registered show up today, and that's about the norm in the industry, if you didn't already know that. So that's cool. And we look forward to seeing you again in January. As I said, the tentative date is January 15th. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.